Well, it's been 7 years to the day since an EF5 tornado ripped through Joplin.
It killed nearly 160 people and injured over 1,000 and was the deadliest in modern history, dating back to 1950.
Emergency responders and the National Weather Service remember that event well. Their stories and the lessons they learned are brought to you this morning by our own Daniel Shedd.
Well, guys, good morning. Here's a look at the damage from the storm. A view of Joplin High School. This was back in 2009. You can clearly see here what it looked like before the tornado. This taken just 2 days after that EF5 came through. 200 miles an hour winds completely destroyed most of it in its path. It was really a test of both willpower and strength for first responders trying to help those in need.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable to see what's happened.
The day of the Joplin tornado, unfortunately, we knew exactly what was going on. As soon after the tornado had touched down, we knew the magnitude of the event, the seriousness of the event.
The hardest part of working on May 22nd, 2011 for Steve Reynolds wasn't the forecast at the National Weather Service. It was telling communities downstream the power knocking on their front door.
One of the important considerations of the mission of the National Weather Service is, we've issued a warning for a particular community, and those emergency responders are going towards that community, but we also have to let people know additional tornadoes are expected.
Cleanup took years. However, first responders scrambled to care for the injured.
We're walking into the emergency room, and we have 20 beds here.
That's a look inside a modern MASH, a trauma center comprised of nurses and doctors that cared for patients in need.
Everybody was at Joplin. I mean, there is nobody that within 500 miles, I don't think, that didn't end up in Joplin.
Now, it's no secret that the Ozarks have their fair share of severe weather. However, few events put the planning and preparation of first responders to the test on that large of a scale. Yes, it did occur here in Joplin when they established that mobile hospital and cared for thousands. It also happened just a couple months ago. You'll remember this. It was not really an ice storm from a meteorological perspective, but it stalled hundreds of vehicles along I-44 on Super Bowl Sunday. Hundreds had to be cared for. And while this pileup didn't match the tornado in terms of fatalities or damages, it was another incident in which EMS professionals had to reevaluate protocol.
More clear communications. We still had problems. We were down in the bottom of a hill, and we were having a hard time hitting any repeaters. So we were having a little bit of trouble talking car to car. We could hit out and get the main dispatch, and then they'd have to transfer information, but it's kind of timely. So that's one of the things that we talked about, maybe in the future, that we set up a unit at the top. So maybe it's a mile away, but at the top of the hill that can handle our incoming unit staging and stuff like that, where we'll have better communications. That's one thing that we learned there too.
Now, Elisa Raffa joins me. Now, you actually had severe weather preparedness week a couple months ago. Looking at a situation like this, Joplin tornado, stranded on I-44, you're dealing with inclement weather, a lot of which is unpredictable, and that goes into preparing for these types of storms.
Yeah, you've got to prepare at the beginning of the season because that, like you said, that ice event was, in weather perspectives, a fairly minor event with huge, major impacts. And that's where, I mean, I spoke to those first responders too, and they said people didn't have a winter survival kit. And we talk about that all the time. Got to have the blanket and things like that. And the same goes for the severe weather season because, as you said, it happens here. It has happened here already this season.
Well, especially in Joplin, you talk about families that were displaced not just for days, potentially weeks or months until they could get their homes rebuilt. Yeah. What are you looking for in that severe weather kit?
Food. For babies, for pets, don't forget those, water, batteries, flashlights, a little teddy bear so kids feel comfortable in those scary situations, and have that in your tornado safe place in your basement so you're ready to go when you got to take shelter.
Some good